Hey everyone, before we jump into today's chapter, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you'll never miss a new audiofic. Your support really helps keep these stories coming. Now, let's dive in.
Orbit of Praclarush Taonas. It had been several minutes since everyone, except for Ronan and Braytak, had gathered in the cargo bay. Willow was now standing just behind the pilot's seat, recalling how O'Neill had announced that Major Carter was in charge of the mission. She chuckled at the memory of how nervous Carter had looked, especially after the colonel pulled her aside to speak in hushed tones. While they spoke, Willow tried to block out O'Neill's thoughts, but stray words like confident and trust you slipped through. She wasn't sure if this telepathic connection was just between her and O'Neill. She hoped so. Willow could only now recount how Buffy may have felt so long ago when she absorbed the blood of a demon back in Sunnydale High, and she suddenly gained telepathic powers. Powers she could not control. Powers that would have driven her insane if not for the cure discovered by Angel and Giles. After speaking to Carter, O'Neill had called Willow aside. "Red," he whispered, "about your newest ability, this telepathy." "Sir, I promise I won't read your mind." "Not on purpose," Willow interrupted quickly. Seeing O'Neill's confused expression, she added nervously, I knew you were going to talk to me about reading your mind, but I didn't read your mind to know you were going to talk to me about reading your mind." "Okay," O'Neill said slowly. "Carry on then." Back in the present, the ship was just about to exit hyperspace. "O'Neill, Major Carter, Daniel Jackson," Teal'c called from the cockpit. "We have reached our destination." The three strode forward and joined Willow just as the ship emerged from the tunnel, revealing a surreal sight. Through the viewport stretched a planet with pinpricks of fire erupting across its scarred surface. "Okay," Daniel murmured. "This world looks like it's been dead for millions of years." Willow stared, unsettled. The visions she'd seen of the lost city had been full of life. A planet of blue oceans and open skies. This wasteland looked nothing like that. "This can't be right," she whispered. "Willow?" Carter prompted, having overheard her. "The lost city can't be here, Major," Willow said. "The city I saw through my connection with Colonel O'Neill was alive. But this planet is already dead." "It could still be the same place," Daniel countered. "Planets change. If you're connected to Jack and the database inside his head, then maybe the visions you saw were from millions of years ago, when this world was still alive and thriving." Carter turned to O'Neill. "Colonel, is that possible?" "Don't look at me," he said with a shrug, clearly confused. "Sir, you told us to come here," Carter reminded him. She frowned. "Maybe you should take the controls from Teal'c." For a moment, O'Neill hesitated. Then Carter's voice took on an unmistakably firm edge. "That's an order, sir." Everyone smiled as O'Neill gave a mock salute. "Yes, ma'am." Sliding into the pilot's chair, he flew the ship with sudden purpose, as if he was guided by instinct. "Taonas," he whispered, running a surface scan. It stopped over a dome-shaped structure. "Looks like we found something," Carter said. "It's not the lost city, though." Willow shook her head. "What makes you say that?" Carter asked. "The dome is too small. The city I saw was massive. It couldn't possibly fit under there." "So we're in the wrong place?" Carter pressed her lips together. "Yes. No. I don't know," Willow admitted. She rubbed her forehead and turned toward O'Neill. "It's important we're here. I can feel it. Isn't that right, sir?" The colonel stared at her for a long moment, then rose from the pilot's seat without a word. He headed to the cargo hold and began pulling out environmental suits. "I guess we're going down there," Carter said. She took a suit and glanced at Willow. "Are you sure this place matters?" "Yes, ma'am," Willow said firmly. "I don't know why. It just does." "All right then," Carter decided. "Teal'c, take us over the thinnest part of the dome. We'll try the ring transporter." "Very well, Major Carter," Teal'c replied, retaking the pilot's seat once again. He maneuvered the ship, then handed control to Braytak, and joined the others in the cargo hold. "Suited up?" SG-1 gathered on the ring platform. "Good luck," Braytak said, activating the transporter. Willow watched as the rings rose up around them. A flash of light, and the next instant, she and her team stood inside the dome, on the surface of the dead world. Surface of Praclarush Taonas. "Whoa," said Willow once they had been down. "What a rush." "Looks like we were right," said Major Carter, staring at the atmospheric measuring device in her hand before glancing around. Her eyes lifted to the dome overhead, settling on a hole in its surface. Through it, she could make out their small ship floating above. She turned back to her team and continued. "The atmosphere isn't suitable for life, and the dome may be unstable. We shouldn't stay long." Carter was about to call Colonel O'Neill for instructions when everyone noticed him already moving toward another chamber. They followed, and Willow's eyes fell on a strange chair positioned on a raised platform. "That's the chair I saw in my vision, Major," Willow said, pointing. "Or something like it." Carter nodded, watching as O'Neill circled the chair, inspecting it. "What is it, Colonel?" she asked. O'Neill only shrugged, then stepped onto the platform and lowered himself into the chair. The device activated at once, tilting back as the platform lit up. A white light shot upward, and the air inside the dome suddenly seemed clearer. A moment later, O'Neill pulled back the hood of his suit, prompting the others to do the same. "There's breathable atmosphere now," said Carter, confirming with the measuring device in her hand. "Must be some kind of shield." As she removed her helmet, Willow's eyes widened. The chair pivoted, and a three-dimensional map of the galaxy appeared in midair. "Whoa," she whispered. "That's where we are," said Daniel, pointing to a glowing dot. "Praclarush." The map zoomed inward, toward the Sol system. "That's our solar system," Carter explained as the projection focused on a single planet. "And that's Earth." "That does not look like Earth," said Teal'c. "Unless you take into account millions of years of continental drift," Daniel countered. The continents were indeed closer together. "Will you look at that?" Willow said in awe as the continents shifted. A glowing marker circled the planet. "The markers pointing to Antarctica," Carter finished. "Well, that makes sense," Willow replied. "I saw the city on a vast ocean. So if that was millions of years ago, then it could be there, right?" "It could be," Carter admitted. But Willow shook her head. "No." Everyone turned to her except O'Neill. She explained, "In my vision, I didn't recognize the constellations. I don't think it was Earth." "No, wait," Carter said, her expression thoughtful. "There's another explanation. If we're looking at Earth millions of years ago, then the constellations we know today would be completely different. Stellar motion, axial precession, and continental positions, all of it. What you saw could still have been Earth. Then Willow Rosenberg's vision may indicate the lost city is indeed on Earth," Teal'c concluded. Carter turned towards O'Neill, who was staring at the projection. "Colonel, is the lost city on Earth?" Willow reached out to him mentally.
"Colonel, it could be on Earth, right?"
There was only silence. He didn't answer.
"Colonel, can you hear me? Do you understand me?"
O'Neill looked from Carter to Willow, his expression blank, as though her words meant nothing to him anymore. Then he turned back to the map and whispered, "Terra Atlantis, Subo Glacius." "Atlantis?" Daniel whispered. He looked to the others. "It's supposed to be under the ice." The word hit them all at once. Atlantis. Willow's mind reeled. Everyone had known the legend of Atlantis, a city of an advanced civilization that vanished beneath the sea under mysterious circumstances. And that was the key. It was a legend of Earth. If Carter was right, then Willow's vision could have shown Earth itself millions of years ago. "Sir, do you mean the lost city of Atlantis?" Carter asked. "Yes," O'Neill answered. He rose from the chair, replaced his headgear, and walked to the edge of the platform. Waving his hand over a panel, he triggered a slot to open. A crystal object rose into view. He then signaled everyone to put their headgears back on. After they did, O'Neill pulled the object free and handed it to Carter. "Willow," Carter said, studying it. "This looks like one of your drawings." Could be some kind of power source, Willow suggested. Carter packed the glowing crystal into a bag and the team hurried back toward the beam-out site. Suddenly, the ground shook and sections of the ceiling collapsed around them. "Braytac, we need a beam-out now," Carter shouted into a radio. A minute later, the rings descended, and the familiar tinge of transport swept them up. In moments, they were back aboard the Teltac. "What the hell?" Carter cried. On the floor lay Braytac, bleeding from a stab wound, and Ronan, face down in a pool of blood. She knelt by Ronan while Teal'c rushed to his mentor's side. "He was a traitor, claimed to have served Anubis," Braytac whispered through the pain. "My back was to him before I realized. Today is the day I die, but at least I die free." Willow stepped forward, but she knew she couldn't help. There was something else. Why hadn't she sensed danger from Ronan? It was a disturbing thought. Could this connection with the Colonel have compromised her empathic abilities? Willow didn't even know where to begin with this disturbing issue. Then O'Neill placed a hand on her shoulder and moved past her, kneeling at Braytac's side. He pressed his palm against the wound, closed his eyes, and a bright white light flared from his hand. To everyone's shock, the wound knitted closed. Moments later, Braytac was whole again, free of pain. Out of all of them, Willow was the most stunned.
"Colonel, how did you do that?"
she asked in his mind.
"I thought you didn't know any magic."
O'Neill only shrugged, then collapsed into Willow's arms. "How?" Carter breathed, eyes wide. Willow looked at Teal'c. For the first time since she'd known him, he had tears in his eyes. "O'Neill possesses the healing powers of the ancients," he said quietly. Daniel helped Willow ease O'Neill to the floor. "Looks like your condition is more advanced than last time, Jack." "Teal'c," said Carter firmly, "set a course for Earth." En route to Earth, Antarctica, T-minus 60 minutes. The flight back to Earth took the better part of a day. Willow sat against one of the cargo hold walls, watching Colonel O'Neill move rapidly from corner to corner, gathering supplies. He was building something around the ring transporter, already rewiring parts of its interior mechanisms. Another thought kept nagging at her. The Colonel had somehow healed Braytac from what should have been a fatal wound. True, neither he nor Teal'c had symbiotes anymore thanks to Tritonin, but the injury had still been a killing blow. Willow was confused. The only healing techniques she had heard of were magical in nature, and based on what Teal'c had said, that the ancients had the power to heal, did that mean the ancients themselves were magical? "Oh, this is going to cause me a headache," Willow thought.
"Colonel, are the ancients magical? You healed Master Braytac using what looked like magic. So are the ancients magical?"
She kept staring at her commanding officer, but he ignored her. No answer came to her mental broadcast.
"Can you understand me, sir?"
Still nothing.
"Please, sir, give me some sign that you can at least hear me."
Just then the Colonel put everything down, walked over, and rested his hand lightly on the top of her head.
"You understand me, don't you, sir?"
But just as quickly, O'Neill pulled his hand away and went back to work. "Willow," said Major Carter as she stepped into the cargo hold, "we're going as fast as we can. Just in case, we'll be coming out of hyperspace inside the atmosphere, so it's going to be very bumpy." "Yes, ma'am," Willow replied. She tried to stand, but dizziness washed over her. She fell back down. "Willow?" Carter hurried over. "Are you all right?" "Feeling tired, Major." "So tired." Willow struggled to keep her eyes open. The last thing she saw before she passed out was Carter running toward her. "Daniel," Carter yelled, "I need some help back here." "What's going on, Sam?" Daniel rushed into the cargo hold and froze when he saw Carter kneeling next to Willow. "Oh crap, what happened?" "She fainted again, just like back in your lab," Carter said, checking Willow's forehead. "Her skin is cold, Daniel, and her pulse is racing." "Jack!" Daniel shouted at the Colonel, who was still working. "Jack, can you help Willow?" O'Neill stopped, glanced over blankly, then turned back to his task. "I don't think Jack can help us this time, Sam." Daniel said quietly. Carter looked back at him, worry etched across her face. Teal'c rushed in after hearing the commotion. Daniel Jackson, Major Carter, what has transpired here? What is wrong with Willow Rosenberg? I don't know, Teal'c, Carter answered, her voice tight with concern. She just fainted. Her skin's like ice. We need blankets, something to keep her warm. Unfortunately, I do not have any destiny, Willow suddenly whispered, bolting upright. Destiny. She turned toward O'Neill, still busy with his work. Colonel, what is destiny? Willow? Carter started, but stopped when Willow's eyes widened. She clutched her head with both hands, closing her eyes shut again, groaning. It hurts. My head. Carter, Daniel, and Teal'c could only watch helplessly as sweat formed on her forehead. Major, Daniel, Teal'c. Willow snapped, her eyes opening, panting. I saw destiny. I was on destiny. It's in the stars. My God, the ancients were amazing. What they did, what they saw, what they found. In the stars, in the background of the stars. At the mention of the ancients, Daniel perked up. Willow, what do you mean by destiny? Are you talking about the destiny of the ancients? We know what happened to them. Or do you mean the destiny of Earth? I'll explain later, Daniel, but you're right. Willow fixed her gaze on him. Colonel O'Neill's condition is much more advanced than anyone expected. What do you mean, Willow? Carter asked, gently turning Willow's face back to hers. I saw things, Major. So many things since the Alterans came to Avalon and settled on Terra. She winced, pressing her palms against her temples again. My God, how can the repository contain so much knowledge? How can Colonel O'Neill handle this? It's so heavy, like the universe pressing down on my head, like I'm sinking into an ocean. She met Carter's eyes. The knowledge of the ancients has started to take over his mind. His need to save Earth, to save all of us, is accelerating the process. He's sacrificing himself so we can survive. What do you mean sacrifice? Carter demanded, her voice filled with worry. You know what I mean, Major, Willow said, the pain subsiding to a dull throb. He's the hero of the story. He saves everyone from the big bad wolf. He'll sacrifice himself for us. Willow, how affected are you by this link with Jack? Daniel asked. I don't know the full extent, she admitted. Atlantis can save him, right, Willow? Carter pressed. No, Willow said softly. There's something on Earth that could slow the information from fully taking over his mind. But it's not Atlantis. Not Atlantis. No. No. She shook her head. No, Atlantis isn't on Earth. She sounded more certain now. What do you mean it's not Atlantis? Daniel asked, worry flashing across his face. Carter, Daniel, and Teal'c continued staring back at her with concern. Unknown to them, more and more images and names cascaded through her mind, flashing like a film reel at super speed. Willow? Daniel whispered. Willow, can you hear me? Lantia, Willow murmured. What is Lantia? Willow Rosenberg, Teal'c asked. The images kept coming. Willow screamed as pain spiked through her skull. She clutched her head, begging for it to stop. Carter and Daniel both called out to O'Neill, but Willow knew instinctively he couldn't help her. Her heart raced like it was about to burst from her chest. Too much information. So much they didn't know. Atlantis, Lantia. Atlantis, Lantia. Aqua, Willow whispered, her eyes locked on Carter's. We need a potentia for the Astria Porta. She is waiting beneath the surface, waiting to be discovered again. She is waiting for her people, for us. She is home, but away from home. She is hope. Then came visions of destruction, a war, an ancient war. Willow's eyes widened in terror. Oh God, the Ori. They destroy, challenge them and be destroyed. There's no free will. They take everything. She grabbed Daniel's face. They cannot come to Avalon. They must not come. If they do, we all die. No more freedom, only destruction. Willow, whoever these Ori are, they're not coming. Daniel said, trying to calm her. We're safe now. No. Willow released him, shaking her head. Never safe. We'll never be safe. Willow Rosenberg, please calm down, Teal'c urged. I can't calm down. Too much information. Too fast. How can it be handled? She suddenly turned to Carter, her tone desperate. You are wrong, Major. Too much knowledge. We couldn't have contained it anywhere. The ancients were far, far more advanced than we ever dreamed. The ship lurched violently, and then it started to shake as if the hull was being pulled apart. Willow, you need to calm down, Daniel said gently. What is happening back there? Gretek shouted from the controls. The hyperspace corridor is destabilizing. We could exit any minute, and we're not at Earth yet. Willow, stop, Daniel called. A Zat discharge cracked the air. Before Daniel could react, the blue bolt struck Willow and she collapsed into his arms. The shaking stopped. Teal'c, was that really necessary? Daniel shouted. Indeed it was, Daniel Jackson. Teal'c replied calmly. If I had not intervened, we would have been forced out of hyperspace before reaching Earth. Daniel, Teal'c is right, Carter said quietly. The three of them exchanged troubled looks, then turned toward O'Neill, lost to them now. They then turned back to the unconscious Willow. They had no idea what to expect next. En route to Earth, Antarctica, T-minus 2 minutes. We are almost at Earth, Gretek announced. We will be coming out of hyperspace directly into the atmosphere momentarily. Carter watched O'Neill working frantically. She figured he was setting up the ring transporter's transmission beam as a cutting tool, preparing to pierce the ice and reach whatever lay buried beneath. She had already notified the SGC and backup was on the way. Now she sat beside Willow, waiting for her to wake. Ouch! Willow's voice made Carter turn quickly. What happened? Willow asked groggily. What do you remember? Carter helped her sit up. Wait, did someone zap me? Willow asked, ignoring the question. Indeed, Teal'c said. I had no choice. You were destabilizing the hyperdrive. Good call, Teal'c. Thanks. Willow rubbed her temples. I remember everything, but I don't know how long I'll stay lucid. She could recount, sounding hysterical while breathing out a sigh of relief. Actually, I think the Zat blast helped a little. She nodded at Carter, then turned toward Daniel. I'll explain everything later. We have reached Earth. Braytak said from the controls. Please, hold on to something. Planet Earth, Antarctica. The small Teltac exited hyperspace inside Earth's atmosphere, just as Teal'c and Braytak had predicted. A few minutes later, Colonel O'Neill took over flying the ship, setting a course for coordinates only he knew. Once over the area, he activated the transport beams, which had been modified into a massive cutting laser. Guys, we've got incoming on our 6, said Willow. Willow of the Flame Hair is correct, Braytak confirmed before Willow mentioned that calling her just Willow would be good. Braytak nodded his head before saying, Scanners show a fleet of Guaval ships approaching from behind. Wait, Willow said, smiling upon seeing the outlines of another group of vessels coming toward them on the scanner. The cavalry has arrived. She and the others ran to the window. A ship, along with accompanying fighters, were approaching them. It's the Prometheus, said Major Carter. With the Prometheus and a fleet of F-302s providing covering fire, SG-1 was able to use the ring transporters once the beam had cut a deep enough hole in the ice. Seconds later, they saw a familiar sight before them in an underground facility. That looks like the chair from Taonas, sir, Carter said, glancing at the colonel. Instead of heading straight for the chair, O'Neill moved toward a recessed alcove, tall and deep enough to hold a single human being. Dormata, O'Neill said softly. Sleep, Daniel translated. It's a stasis pod, Willow added. This is what we came here for, I think. She looked back at the colonel. No, there's something else. I feel it. Something under the ice. O'Neill now approached the chair. Once he reached the platform, he waved his hand across the section. A crystalline object slid out, similar to the one they had recovered at Taonas, but black in color. Carter handed him the object they had found earlier, and he slowly inserted it into the now empty slot. The instant it clicked into place, the ring transporters activated. SG-1 dove for cover. Willow and the others opened fire as Anubis' Cull Warriors materialized. Thanks to the special modifications on the P-90s firing enhanced rounds, they were able to bring down the normally unstoppable soldiers. "Sir, anytime you're ready," Carter shouted to O'Neill as another pair of Cull Warriors beamed in. Willow, taking cover, glanced at the Colonel. She felt the same strange energy she had sensed on the planet where he first downloaded the ancient knowledge. The chair activated, and beneath the ice-covered floor she felt something. Ancient, powerful, and linked to O'Neill's thoughts. She tracked the energy to the transporter platform. Before their eyes, the ice melted away, revealing bright yellow light spilling from a hidden silo. "Drone weapons," Willow whispered. "How do I know that?" The glowing, squid-like weapon streaked out, cutting down the remaining Cull Warriors before surging up through the tunnel carved by the transporter beam. Willow ran to the opening just in time to watch them destroy the enemy Alkesh and Death Gliders still circling above, then launch into space. Suddenly, fatigue hit her like a blow. She staggered back to the platform where Carter was leaning over O'Neill, urging him to hold on, to celebrate their victory. "Colonel, sir," Willow mentally spoke. "We did it. You did it. You saved us all." "Dormata," O'Neill murmured again. "Major," Willow said urgently, "we need to get him to the pod. We don't have much time." "Hold on, sir," she whispered as Tilk gently lifted O'Neill and placed him in the stasis pod. SG-1 gathered solemnly in front of the man who had once again saved the world. Willow felt out of place among them. After all, they had fought alongside O'Neill far longer than she had. "Aveo Amacus," O'Neill said faintly. "Goodbye," Daniel translated as Carter and Tilk exchanged a look. As the pod's lights came alive, Willow felt a tap on her shoulder. In an instant, the icy chamber dissolved into the gate room of Atlantis. She assumed it was Atlantis in truth. "Hiya, Red," said O'Neill, now wearing sneakers, jeans, an Air Force t-shirt, and a black jacket. "Colonel?" Willow said, startled. "So our link is still active." "Looks like it, Red. For a few more seconds anyway. Once I'm fully in stasis, it'll be severed, I think." Willow pressed her lips together, a look of worry etched on her face. O'Neill noticed, and then said, "Stuff like this happens all the time." He chuckled at Willow's deadpan expression before continuing. "I've got an order for you and the others." "Okay?" Willow frowned. "Get me the hell out of here as soon as possible," he said, dead serious. Willow laughed, unable to help herself. "No laughing, Red," O'Neill warned. "Seriously, call the Asgard, the Nox, whoever it takes. I don't want to live as a popsicle. Got it?" "Yes, sir," Willow said with a smile. "Oh, and remind Daniel to tape The Simpsons for me. Who knows how long I'll be stuck in here." "Yes, sir." "All right, now I'm going fishing. Wonder if I can catch a bass in my head," O'Neill said with a smirk as he turned toward the hall. "Remember my orders, Red. I expect to be thawed as soon as possible." "Yes, sir," Willow said, nodding as he walked down one of Atlantis' high-paneled corridors. "That's a promise." To be continued.